I once had a patient, 72 years old, strong guy, ate healthy, exercised a few times a week, did everything right. But one morning, he woke up and couldn't speak clearly. His right arm just wouldn't move. It wasn't from smoking. It wasn't high blood pressure. The real problem? A vitamin he had been taking every night before bed. Yep, you heard that right. A simple vitamin, something he thought was helping, ended up playing a part in a stroke while he slept. If you're over 60 and you take supplements, this video could protect your brain. Stick with me to the end, because what I'm about to tell you, you won't find it on the bottle label. And honestly, a lot of folks could have avoided some serious trouble if they'd just known this sooner. Part 1. The truth about vitamins no one really talks about. After 60. You know, just about every time I sit down with a patient around our age, I see the same thing, at least a few bottles of vitamins or supplements tucked in their bag. And hey, that's not surprising. Studies say over half of Americans over 60 take at least one supplement every day. Some folks take them for brain health, others for stronger bones, or maybe because a friend said, "This one helps you stay young." So they take them day after day, month after month. But here's the thing hardly anyone talks about, not even some doctors. Once you hit your 60s, your body doesn't handle vitamins the way it used to when you were 30 or 40. You might have noticed you eat less, you don't drink as much water. Maybe you feel a little more tired now and then, and chalk it up to just aging. But truth is, your liver and kidneys slow down too. That means extra vitamins don't always get flushed out like they used to. They can start to build up in your blood, in your tissues, and that can quietly cause problems. What worries me most? A lot of people are taking vitamins without knowing how much they really need. They don't know if it's clashing with their medications. And most have never had a simple blood test to check their vitamin levels. It's kind of like adding salt to a dish without tasting it. A pinch helps, but too much, it can ruin the whole thing. That's why today, I want to sit down with you and go through some of the most common vitamins. Let's take a closer look at which ones may look helpful on the outside, but could be quietly hurting your memory, your blood pressure, or even putting you at risk for a stroke. And to kick things off, let's talk about one of the most popular of them all, vitamin D. Sounds harmless, right? Well, not so fast. You might be surprised. Part 2. Vitamin D, good for bones but could quietly trigger a stroke. Now look, when folks hear vitamin D, the first thing that comes to mind is strong bone sand. They're right. Vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium, keeps your immune system humming, and can even lift your mood, especially during those darker winter months. But here's the thing. Like a lot of things in medicine, too much of a good thing can turn bad. I had a patient, Mr. Walty, 74 years old, Navy vet, sharp guy, very disciplined about his health. Every morning, like clockwork, he took a vitamin D supplement, 10,000 units a day. He figured, more is better, right? Then, one morning, his wife found him slurring his words. His right arm wouldn't move. He'd had a stroke in his sleep. When we ran his labs, his calcium levels were sky high. His blood vessels were stiff like plastic pipes, and his blood pressure was all over the place. What happened? That high dose of vitamin D was slowly building up calcium in his bloodstream. And when there's too much calcium floating around, it starts sticking to the walls of your arteries. Over time, they get stiff and less flexible. Now mix that with nighttime, the body naturally gets a bit dehydrated. Blood pressure can swing up and down, and you've got the perfect storm for a stroke. So no, just because it's a vitamin doesn't mean it's harmless, especially if you're taking it at the wrong time or when your body doesn't even need it. So, what's the safer way to take it? First, if you're taking vitamin D, take it in the morning after a meal that has some fat in it, like eggs, whole milk, or a bit of peanut butter. Vitamin D needs fat to be absorbed properly. Second, don't take big doses just because someone told you it's good for you. Get a blood test. See if your levels are actually low. Because if they're not, you might be doing more harm than good and not even know it. Now, I'm not saying you need to stop taking it today. But if there's one supplement I worry most about when it comes to older folks, taking it without a doctor's eye on it, vitamin D is at the top of the list. And guess what? That's just the beginning. Next, we'll talk about another common vitamin often called a heart helper that might quietly raise your risk of bleeding in the brain if you're not careful. Part 3. Vitamin E, the hidden blood thinner in your cabinet. You remember back in the day, folks used to call vitamin E the miracle for the heart, right? It showed up in just about every supplement something for better circulation, sharper memory, glowing skin, even anti-aging. Sounded pretty great. But here's something most people don't hear heck. Even a lot of folks selling these products don't mention it. High doses of vitamin E actually work a lot like a mild blood thinner. That means it slows your blood's ability to clot. Now, picture this. Let's say you're already taking something like aspirin, Plavix, or warfarin to prevent a stroke or manage a heart issue. Then you throw in a high-dose vitamin E supplement, maybe over 400 IU a day. That combo can make your blood too thin. So thin that even a tiny blood vessel leak in your brain could turn into a life-threatening brain bleed. I'll never forget one case in particular. Evelyn, 81 years old. Retired librarian. Sharp as a tack. Lived a healthy life. One day, she picked up a bottle of vitamin E after reading an article that said it helped with memory. Just a few weeks later, she started getting awful headaches, feeling confused, then suddenly threw up and collapsed. At the ER, they found a brain bleed. Not because of a fall, not because of high blood pressure, because her blood got too thin vitamin E, plus her regular blood thinner was just too much. And you know what? That bottle didn't have a single clear warning about it. It broke my heart. A simple chat with her doctor could have prevented the whole thing. So here's my advice to you, friend. If you're taking any kind of blood thinner like aspirin, Plavix, or warfarin, skip the high-dose vitamin E supplements. It's just not worth the risk. Instead, get your vitamin E the safe way through food. A drizzle of olive oil on your salad, a small handful of sunflower seeds, or a few almonds as a snack. That's plenty for what your body needs, and it won't mess with your medication. See, the stuff that seems healthy can sometimes turn dangerous if we don't understand how it works. Vitamin E is one of those tricky ones. Now take a deep breath, because in the next part, we'll talk about another vitamin that's often labeled great for your nerves. But if you take too much, it could quietly rob you of your balance, your feeling in your hands and feet, and even your independence. Part 4. Vitamin B6. Helping your nerves or hurting them. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed your hands or feet tingling? Maybe you feel a little off balance now and then? Or find yourself forgetting things more than usual? A lot of folks our age chalk that up to just getting older. Heck, I used to think the same. But here's what I've learned, it's not always just age. Sometimes the real culprit is a vitamin that seems harmless, vitamin B6. You've probably seen B6 on bottles that promise to boost brain power, help with memory, reduce nerve pain, or increase energy. Sounds great, especially for folks over 60. But here's the deal. Taking too much B6, especially from those over-the-counter nerve support pills, can sneak up on you and do real damage. Let me break it down simple. Too much B6 eats away at the coating that protects your nerves, kind of like stripping the plastic off a wire. When that coating's gone, the signals in your body start getting scrambled. What does that feel like? You might feel pins and needles in your hands or feet, lose your balance more easily, or even feel foggy and forgetful, almost like early dementia. I had a patient, Harold, 76 years old, used to be a long-haul truck driver. Started getting numb feet, thought it was just age catching up. So he picked up a nerve support supplement from the drugstore. Each pill had 100 milligrams of B6. He took 2 a day for a whole year. Then he started falling in the bathroom. Couldn't feel the bottoms of his feet. Turns out, the B6 had built up in his system and caused permanent nerve damage. The scariest part? The early signs are so subtle, they're easy to ignore until it's too late. So, what's a safe amount? Older adults only need about 1.5 to 2 milligrams of B6 per day, and most of that comes naturally from food like chicken, bananas, sweet potatoes, and oats. The max safe limit is 100 milligrams per day, but really, it doesn't take much over that, especially over time, to cause problems. Here's my advice. Check the label on any supplement you're taking for brain support or nerve health. If it says 50 milligrams, 100 milligrams or more, take a step back and think twice. Because no one wants to end up needing a cane or worse, a wheelchair, because of something they thought was helping. And we're not done yet. Next up, I'll tell you about a vitamin that's in all kinds of skin, eye, and immune supplements. But if you take too much, it can build pressure inside your brain and cause vision problems that may never fully heal. Part 5. Vitamin A. Good for your eyes, or quietly hurting your brain and vision. You probably remember the old advice: vitamin A is great for your eyes, keeps your skin smooth, and helps slow aging. And hey, that's true, vitamin A is important. But, like most things in medicine, it's only good when the dose is right, at the right time, and for the right person. If you take it the wrong way, though, it can quietly stir up some serious trouble, especially in your brain and vision. Let me tell you a story. There was this sweet retired piano teacher I saw lived alone. Took great care of her health. Every morning, she'd take a vision support pill, another for anti-aging, and a daily multivitamin. Sounds harmless, right? But a few years in, she started getting bad headaches. Her vision got blurry. She saw double. She felt dizzy, off balance. Her family thought she might have had a small stroke. We ran tests, including an MRI, and found something surprising. She had a condition called pseudotumor cerebri, pressure inside her skull mimicking a brain tumor. The cause? Too much vitamin A building up in her brain and liver. Here's what most folks don't realize. Vitamin A is fat-soluble unlike vitamin C or B vitamins. It doesn't flush out easily. Instead, it gets stored in your liver, fat tissue, and even your brain. When it builds up over time, it can raise the pressure inside your skull. That leads to headaches, nausea, blurred vision, balance problems, confusion, and double vision. In some cases, folks get misdiagnosed with a stroke or early Alzheimer's. Now, here's where it gets tricky. One multivitamin might give you 2,000 IU of vitamin A. Add in an eye health, supplement another 5,000 IURS. Maybe something for your skin or immune system? That's even more. Before you know it, you're getting 2 or 3 times the safe limit every single day, without even realizing it. So, what's the safe zone? For older adults, you shouldn't go over 3,000 IU of vitamin A per day, including what you get from food and supplements. And whatever you do, don't take multiple pills that all have vitamin A in them. Always check the label if you're planning to take something long-term. Talk it over with your doctor. Now, friend, I'm not saying vitamin A is bad. Just like sunlight, a little bit is good. But too much? It can burn instead of warm. And now you might be wondering, is there a vitamin that's supposed to help my heart, but could actually mess with my brain if I take too much? The answer is yes. Coming up next, I'll tell you about a common supplement used to lower cholesterol that can mess with your blood pressure, throw your heartbeat out of rhythm, and may even trigger mini strokes if you're not careful. Part 6. Niacin. Helps your heart, but could hurt your brain. You know, lately I've had quite a few folks come into my office and say something like, "Doc, I heard niacin is good for the heart and lowers cholesterol, so I started taking it every day. Got it from a friend who brought it back from overseas." And hey, that sounds reasonably. Niacin, or vitamin B3, has been used in the past to help manage cholesterol. But here's what a lot of people don't know, including some folks who sell this stuff. Taking high doses of niacin can mess with your blood vessels in dangerous ways, especially if you're over 60. Let me break it down real simple. When you take a high dose of niacin, it causes your blood vessels to suddenly open up. You feel hot, flushed, your face turns red. Some people think, "Oh, good, that means it's working." But here's the catch. Right after that, your vessels can tighten back up quickly, and that sudden change in blood pressure, especially while you're sleeping or moving around, can set the stage for trouble. Like what kind of trouble? It can cause a mini stroke, called a TIAA, transient ischemic attack, You might slur your words, feel dizzy, or go numb on one side, but then it passes after a few minutes. Problem is, TIA is a big red flag that a full-blown stroke might be coming next. And there's more. Niacin can also trigger atrial fibrillation and irregular heartbeat that raises your stroke risk even higher, especially if you've had heart issues before. I had a patient, Frank, 82, retired, still went walking every morning. One day, he felt dizzy, couldn't speak clearly, and fainted. Turns out, he was taking 2 niacin pills a day, 1,000 milligrams each. He thought he was protecting his heart, but it was actually quietly harming his brain. So, here's what I tell folks. Don't take more than 50 milligrams of niacin per day, and only if your doctor specifically tells you to. If you're on blood pressure meds, heart meds, or have a history of stroke or AFib, you need to be extra careful, even with non-flush or slow-release niacin. And if you're trying to lower your cholesterol, start with food first. Cut back on sugar and fried foods. Eat more greens and fatty fish like salmon. It's safer, more natural, and lasts longer than relying on a pill. See what I mean? Even a vitamin that's supposed to help your heart can sneak up on your brain if you don't know the risks. Now at this point, you might be wondering, so what can I actually do to protect my brain without falling into these vitamin traps? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and we'll talk about it next. It all comes down to eating the right foods, at the right times, in the right amounts. Part 7. Eat smart instead of taking pills. A simple, safer solution. My friend, after hearing about all the ways certain vitamins can backfire, if you're not careful, you might be wondering, so what should I do to take care of my brain and overall health without risking anything? Let me tell you a real story about Margaret, a retired teacher from Arizona. She's 73, sharp as a tack, and used to be super careful about her health. The first time we met, she brought in a drawer full of supplements. Vitamin D for bones, E for the heart, B6 for nerves, niacin for cholesterol, a multivitamin just in case. 6 different pills, every single day. But you know what? She still felt dizzy in the mornings. Her sleep was off, her blood pressure bounced around, and her memory? Not what it used to be. I asked her one simple question. Margaret, have you ever tried changing your breakfast instead? She laughed and said, Doctor, I usually just have coffee and maybe a few cookies. So, we made one small change, but it made a big difference. She stopped the pills and started with a better breakfast. No fancy diet, no expensive superfoods, just something real and balanced. 1 boiled egg, good clean protein that supports the brain. Half an avocado, full of healthy fats for memory and heart. 1 slice of whole grain toast, keeps energy steady and sugar stable. A handful of blueberries, packed with polyphenols to protect brain cells. 1 warm glass of water. Sounds simple, but the brain hates being even slightly dehydrated. 3 weeks later, she came back and said, Doc, I'm sleeping better, no more lightheaded mornings, and my head just feels clearer. And let me tell you, I was thrilled. That's the power of real food. You see, after 60, our bodies don't process high-dose supplements like they used to. But when we eat right whole foods, the right nutrients, at the right time so our brain, heart, blood pressure, sleep, everything works better. So here's my advice. You don't need 5 or 6 pills lined up every morning. You just need a real plate of food, a warm drink, and a little kindness toward yourself. Now you know, taking care of your brain doesn't start with a medicine cabinet, it starts with your breakfast plate. And if this little tip helped you, pass it on to a friend. Who knows? Tomorrow's breakfast might just be the start of a clearer mind and a calmer day. Part 8. The best everyday foods for your brain. After 60. You know, once folks stop taking all those unnecessary supplements, the first thing I always tell them, something I do myself too, is to start adding what I call brain-friendly foods into their daily meals. And no, I'm not talking about anything fancy. These are simple, everyday foods you can grab at any grocery store. They're nature's gift to our brain, especially after 60. First up, leafy greens like spinach and kale. These are loaded with folate and antioxidants that help slow down aging in your brain cells. I always joke with my patients. Eat your greens so your mind doesn't go gray. Next, fatty fish like salmon or sardines. They're packed with omega-3s, the healthy fats that keep your brain's wiring smooth and steady. Studies even show that folks who eat fish a couple times a week have better memory and a lower risk of dementia. Then we've got nuts and seeds: walnuts, almonds, sunflower seeds. Fun fact, a walnut kind of looks like a tiny brain ant. It's great for your brain too. They give you vitamin E and magnesium, both of which support blood flow and help protect your brain from wear and tear. Don't forget whole grains like oats or whole wheat bread. They help keep your blood sugar steady so your brain doesn't suddenly run out of fuel. A lot of older folks feel foggy in the morning, and it's often because they only had coffee and a sweet pastry for breakfast, not enough real energy. And finally, colorful fruits rich in polyphenols like blueberries, oranges, or kiwi. They fight inflammation, boost blood flow to the brain, and help sharpen memory. Plus, they taste great. See, none of this is expensive or hard to find. But if you eat these foods regularly, you're giving your brain a natural suit of armor day after day. And the best part? No tiny labels to read. No tricky dosages to figure out. No worries about drug interactions. Just eat, enjoy, and let the benefits do their thing. So, if you've been wondering, what's the safest, most trustworthy way to keep my mind sharp? The answer might just be sitting on your plate. Part 9. Final thoughts. Awareness is the best medicine. My friend, after everything we've talked about, I hope one thing is clear. Vitamins aren't the enemy. The real problem? It's how we use them too much, at the wrong time, or without fully understanding what we're putting in our bodies. Once we hit our 60s, our bodies don't handle things the way they used to at 30 or 40. What used to be helpful can slowly turn into too much. And those harmless-looking pills? Sometimes they cause silent problems that show up when we least expect them. So what can you do starting today? First, go grab your vitamin bottles and really look at the labels. How much are you taking in milligrams or IUs? Are you maybe doubling up without realizing it? Second, if you're taking meds for your heart, blood pressure, bones, or sleep check, in with your doctor. One short visit can help you avoid a lifelong health issue. Third, learn to listen to your body. That little headache, the off-balance moment, the tingling in your hands or feet, those aren't always just old age. Sometimes they're your body whispering, "Hey, something's off. Pay attention." Now let me ask you something. What vitamins are you taking every day? Have you ever really checked how much you're getting? Drop me a comment below. I read every one. Your story might help someone else too. And if this video helped you, please hit that like button. Helps more folks see it. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos made especially for folks our age, down to earth, honest, and backed by science. Lastly, share this with a loved one who's also over 60. A quick message, one little link. It might end up saving someone's health without you even knowing it. I've always believed good health doesn't come from big, complicated things. It comes from knowing better and doing the little things right. Thanks for being here. And remember, you're never too old to start taking better care of yourself with wisdom, not just more pills. See you in the next video.